I know. Okay. I know. I know you're paying attention to the graphic on the left. You're paying attention to my bulging biceps and that animated likeness of myself. Okay. But what you should really be paying attention to right now is you should be paying attention to Plume. But yeah, but let's get straight into it. Let's get into it. What's good, all? It's your boy Indigo, and I'm back, baby. I'm back with another video on Plume. This must be I'm gonna call it my 10th video on Plume. I don't even know if we're that deep in, but it is what it is. Today we're gonna be looking a little deeper, okay, than we usually have. You know, I've kind of been giving you guys a little surface level market analysis, a little surface level technical analysis, but today we're gonna combine that with a tad bit of some fundamental analysis. You know, but yeah, but as we always do, you know, we're gonna start with the charts because I know a lot of you people, a lot of you guys are subscribed to my channel right now, and you know, and we're invested in Plume. All you really care about is the price. Where are we at? Okay, so let's break it down real quick before we get into this fundamental analysis video that I have prepared for you. All right, so today, Wednesday, the 24th of June, you know, this is when we start drawing on our volume profiles right from the beginning of Wednesday. So from Wednesday to Wednesday, this is a previous week value. That's our previous week value area high, point of control, and value area low. We are way below our value area low, and currently we are testing what I believe is April's support. We'll see how this develops over the remaining part of the week, and you know, when we do dedicated technical analysis video, we are going to talk about this. I just wanted to start with that because I know, you know, we're all invested in this in different ways, right? And some people are really just really into it because of the price, you know. But we will be back in trading view in a little bit. But I think like now what we can do is let's get straight into this fundamental analysis that I have for you. All right, I did say you're paying attention to the wrong things. All right, I know you're looking at me on the left side of the screen with the steel chair raised above my head about to bash poverty. You know what I'm saying? I know, I see. I did that on purpose. What you really should be paying attention to, you should be paying attention to this. You should be paying attention to Plume. Okay, so look, for me, anytime I get into a project or I start exploring a project, I really want to know like what's good. I really want to know what's going on. Right? It's not for me just like looking at the charts and looking at the technical analysis part. Of course, it's important because I mean that's where my money is going, right? And so I want to know, like, you know, I want to time my entries better if I can. You know, I always want to know whether I'm making a bit of a profit or whether I'm catching an L, right? But there are some fundamental things underlying these projects that I do think we need to start paying attention to. Okay, so we're on the Plume website right now. We're looking at the Plume ecosystem. This is on plume.org / ecosystem, right? So when I got here, you know, I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's see what's going on. Let's see what's good. And the first thing that caught my attention was Apollo. First of all, because Apollo is, you know, the god of the sun in Greek mythology. So, I mean, you know, I was always gonna, my eye was always gonna be drawn there, you know. But what it says here is that Apollo is one of the world's largest alternative asset managers with over $800 billion in assets, right? Guys, this is on the Plume website, yeah. And when they're saying explore Plume, the Plume ecosystem, you know, they're saying discover 200 plus apps and protocols building on Plume. So I mean, this is an asset manager with over $800 billion in assets. But you know, I don't believe everything that I read on the internet, so I wanted to see it for myself. You know what I mean? So I went and I looked up Apollo and I went to the About Us page. You know, so this is Apollo, right? This asset manager that apparently manages over $800 billion, yeah, in assets. You know what I mean? So this is what they say. We've built a leading alternative asset manager management and retirement service platform by staying true to our core principles. So since our founding in 1990, we have believed that adhering to our values is integral to our success. This has allowed us to build an innovative and collaborative culture that can support great business and generate attractive returns for our clients. All right, pretty cool, I guess about us. Of course, they're gonna sell themselves. As one Apollo team, we believe that doing great work and having fun go hand in hand. We are proud of what we can achieve together. We are building a unique firm of extraordinary colleagues who are the core of what makes Apollo. This is kind of interesting for me. I found this interesting, building a unique firm, and we're talking about asset management here. So, I mean, how unique can you possibly be? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like people put the wording that people put or that companies put on their websites is important, right? It tells us about their corporate culture. It tells us about the people who are their leaders, right? And if I'm going to invest in something or in another company or in an asset from another company, and what do I mean? I mean, like, if I'm going to buy some Plume tokens and then I get onto the Plume website, and on the Plume website, I see Apollo. And when I get to the Apollo website and I get to the About page, they're using this language, a unique firm of extraordinary colleagues. I want to find out more, so this is a little more on them. So this is their investor relations. Yeah. For over 30 years, Apollo has served the financial return needs of our investors and provided businesses with innovative capital solutions for growth. Our retirement services business, Athene, offers a suite of retirement savings products to help our clients achieve financial security. I've heard a little about it, Athene, it being a kind of like a retirement fund, right? So if you think about asset management, like what really goes on there? It's we I go to an asset manager and I'm like, yo, I have $100,000 that's just kind of sitting in the bank, and I would like for it to work a little more for me. And so I go to an asset manager, and then that asset manager then provides financial solutions to make sure that my money doesn't just stay idle and that my money starts working for me, right? Whether that's 2% or 3% or 6%, whatever it is, they design these, I guess, financial protocols as, per se, you know what I mean? So, them also offering some form of like retirement saving products, and this is what they're saying: to help our clients achieve financial security. That's kind of interesting to me as well. You know what I mean? So, why Apollo? Purchase price matters. Full alignment, excess return. Apollo is grounded in a value-driven investment philosophy focused on delivering outperformance and downside protection. Okay, cool. Again, asset management lingo. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. I mean, if you're an asset manager, I kind of expect you to be speaking in this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the language that I want to be hearing from you, right? But let's get more into it. Let's find out. Let's see what else they're about. Corporate credit, right? This is on their strategies segment, right? There you go. If you go onto their Apollo Wealth segment and you go on to strategies, you'll find this page. Our approach: Apollo is active across private and public corporate credit markets, providing a comprehensive suite of financing solutions across the credit return spectrum. Our scale and expertise have helped us become a financing partner of choice for companies of all stripes, from large investment grade corporations to sponsor backed businesses to third party lending platforms. Our ability to act as a flexible and reliable solutions provider to large corporates has made large cap direct lending one of the fastest growing areas of our platform. All right, so not only do they have the investment side to it, right? They also have a corporate credit thing. So uh, again, this came from like a little bit of some research that I did as well, just like into the company before I started this video. Essentially, what they'll do is they'll lend a company money, right? So how corporate credit would work is, you have a bakery and you come to me because I have a lot of money, and you say, yo, I want to expand my business, and so I front you maybe like $1 million. Okay, I front you $1 million. Of course you're gonna have to pay that back because it's not just free money. This isn't a a charity, right? So I give you that $1 million, you have to pay it back. Cool, but you have to pay it back with interest, right? Which is how I make money. But also, I gave you the money for you to expand your business, so you win, I win, right? If you can't pay back the money, though, how most corporate credit uh, companies work is they will liquidate your business. They will sell everything, So every time they invest in your company, there's always an upside for them. They look at your company, see what you own, and they know they're like, okay, cool, we give you $1 million. If you can't pay back that $1 million, we're gonna get back $1.5 million somehow. Right, we're gonna get our money back. And something that I found out about Apollo that was like really interesting was that they don't only um, give out credit and hope that you succeed, right? If your company goes under, they will take over that company and run it until they can sell it for a profit, So it's not just a thing where it's like they just give these companies money or they put out this corporate credit and then that's that. It's like, no, they're in it. You know what I mean? They're in it. So this is Apollo, This is Apollo. But again, me being who I am, you know what I'm saying? I also wanted to check. And where was I going to check? I was going to check. I was always going to check on the charts, and find out what's actually going on. So this is Apollo Global Management Incorporated. You can find this, they're listed on the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange. The ticker sign is APO. You're welcome to go and check that out. I went ahead and did a little technical analysis, of course. I just anchored a VWAP from the last up move. This was on Wednesday. Yeah, from Wednesday. Wednesday open, EST 9:30, and yeah, I just anchored a VWAP just to see how their stock price was performing. We have dipped below it though. We are below this VWAP currently. I also anchored a volume profile over here, just so we could have an idea as to where our value area high is. It's the dotted line at the top. Our point of control, that's the dotted line in the middle, the orange line, and then our value area low over here. So I mean, they're not like off. There's nothing really concerning here. I guess stocks move up and down. That's just kind of the nature of them. And we are moving within value. This volume profile is actually anchored to the beginning of the year. So this is the volume from January 2nd, right? That was like from the open of the markets this year to today, Wednesday, the 24th of June. So again, just kind of like looking at it, nothing really too concerning. I mean, I guess this is the volume profile from the previous week. I just marked that from the 15th of June till this Monday. And yeah, I mean, as you see, we are negative 4.6%, as you can see right at the top, but again, still within value. Still within value. So, I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just saying that like I am gonna look, if your company is associated to something that I am interested in and I am making videos on, I am going to look. I'm gonna look at the technicals. I'm gonna look and see, what assets under management you have, right? As an asset manager per se, as an example. We'll do that in a separate video if you guys really want to deep dive into Apollo, right? But what we are doing a video on is we're doing a video on Plume. This is the subject matter of this video. It's about Plume and Plume's ecosystem and the companies that they have under their ecosystem, right? Pretty interesting though, that with this share price going down, right? If we go back to our Plume technical analysis, we are at support. We are at that April support. So how correlated are these two, Apollo and Plume right now? Yeah, we'll find out. We'll give this some time. And we'll watch this over the next couple of weeks, right? And just see how much weight Apollo's stock price and share price, rather, right? How much weight that has and how much that affects and influences Plumes, right? Plume's price. Okay, but now that we've had a look at the technical on on Apollo, we can get back. We can get back to the fundamental analysis. If you're here and you're enjoying what you're watching so far, please make sure you hit that like button and leave me a comment so far. If you have any questions, like drop them in the comment section, and I'll try and address them as best as I possibly can. Right, but yeah, but like back to it though, right? So we've been looking at Apollo, and yeah, and that's what they're about. So I mean, this is them on the Plume ecosystem. I had to come and check, right? I had to come and check on RWA. Yeah, this is what is offered. This is Nest Apollo ACRDX Vault. Nest Apollo ACRDX Vault provides exposure to Apollo's diversified global credit strategy, spanning direct corporate lending, asset backed lending, and dislocated credit, delivering institutional, public, and private credit yields distributed on chain by Nest. Yeah, and how did I find this? I mean, look, I am a man of means. I am going as when I say I'm gonna find out about a project, I'm gonna find out about a project. So I went from the Plume website, from here from the homepage. I went and I hit this earn with Nest, and I just wanted to see this ACRDX on Nest. Yeah, so on Nest, essentially, what you can do is this is where you get access now to this asset, right? From the Plume ecosystem. Remember, from Plume, what you're able to access is you're able to access this asset, Apollo's tokenized asset, right? Which is ACRDX. So again, about the vault takes stablecoin deposits and allocates them into tokenized exposure to Apollo's diversified global credit strategy, right? Which is basically what we read off the RWA.xyz. Yeah. Income generated by the underlying credit exposures is reflected directly in the NACRDX token price rather than distributed, providing passive exposure to diversified institutional grade credit yield. The strategy is designed to deliver consistent income through a diversified mix of public and private credit, combining institutional execution and transparent asset backing. Cool. So there we go. Like, what we saw in RWA matches what we're seeing on Nest. And I mean, we have read up a little on Apollo from their website, and also we've gone and we've checked the technical. We know that like their share price right now is currently on the low, right? But having access to having access to like their corporate strategy, right? To the investment strategy, right? Having access to that is a little different if you're accessing it directly from the Apollo website than if you're accessing it from Plume. And how would you be doing it off Plume? You'd be doing it using Nest, right? So right now, this is the exchange rate. You'd have to connect your wallet. I didn't bother to do that, but you collect your wallet, and then you deposit your Plume, and you receive this asset NACRDX. And we'll call it the Apollo private credit token. I think that would be a lot simpler and easier for me, right? But yeah, but this is it. Like, and their APY target APY is 2%, which doesn't seem like it's much, but that's what it is. It's 2%. That's what you'd get if you were to deposit some of your Plume USD or PUSD. The exchange rate right now is one Apollo credit fund will get you 0.997807 Plume. Max redeem time is 90 days. Who is it designed for? Diversified credit income. Access Apollo's diversified global credit strategy through a single on-chain vault token. Institutional credit exposure. Gain exposure to corporate asset-backed and dislocated credit without managing underlying allocations. Portfolio diversification. Add broad public and private credit exposure to complement treasury basis and other yield strategies. So I mean, if you do have stablecoin, if you have some stable coins and just kind of sitting there, like why not generate some yield, right? I mean, like it's right there, and we know it's right there because it's like the very first thing that they have on their website. I feel like that's pretty important. I mean, I guess also again it is alphabetical, but they don't have to make it alphabetical, right? They could have put it in any other order, but they chose to put it in this order. So we are gonna look, as I'm saying, it's gonna be the first thing that catches uh, your eye when you visit the website, right? So so that's it, like so far, right? There is a little more. I'm sure you're watching the tabs. There's quite a bit more, but where does the yield come from? Private credit. The allocation spans Apollo's diversified global credit strategy across direct corporate lending. We've read that already. This mix is designed to generate consistent income through institutional, public, and private credit exposure while diversifying across multiple credit segments. So remember we spoke about this, right? What does Apollo do? They have a theme, right? Which is their retirement fund, right? So a couple of people, millions, thousands of people, I don't know, we're not gonna give that a number, but a fair number of people who have retirement funds, who deposit their retirement funds with Apollo. Why would you do that? Well, if you deposit your money, maybe you're earning some money, you're gonna retire maybe at the age of 60. You want to have a retirement fund. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be working after 60 or 65. Cool. As you deposit in your money, it is earning something for you. So Apollo is taking that money and they're using different strategies, right? And they're investing that money for you and generating some income for you. Okay. Some interest for you. Okay. And then they also have their corporate lending where they then also go to companies, companies, businesses, etc., that want to grow their businesses per se, and then they invest in those. All right. So they loan out money. That's corporate credit. And then from the interest that they accrue from that, then also supplements their uh, retirement funds, and then also these yields, right, which they're offering on Plume. It's pretty crazy that you can have access to that using crypto, connecting that to a wallet. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have had access to that at all, if this didn't exist. But let's get a little more into it. So all yield assets live on Plume Network. Nest is built by the Plume team and runs natively on Plume Network, a real-world asset blockchain that serves as a settlement layer to ensure institutional grade security, regulatory alignment, and scalable settlement. All right, cool. You guys can visit this and you can read a little more into this in your own time. I do want to make sure that we get through as much as possible, whilst I still have your attention. All right. So that's ACRDX. Okay. Again, me being who I am going to look deeper. I am going to find out as much as I possibly can about anything that I am invested in or anything that I am doing research on, as much as you should as well. You shouldn't just like look at a chart and just be like, oh, I guess this is the bottom, and just like buy into it, right? You could be missing out on like some massive opportunities, So I came on to DefiLlama, and I, hit the Plume mainnet. I just wanted to see what was going on here. This is on DefiLlama.com. You can visit that and check out some other RWA projects over here, or some, DeFi projects, or whatever it is that you're really interested in. But I came on here, hit the Plume mainnet just to see. You know what I mean? What do we have? Total active market cap 579 million, bonds 513 million, private credit 65.6 million. Private credit. That's pretty important. What is private credit? Private credit is this exact same thing that we were looking at, So, this is on the Plume mainnet. Again, I mean, I already knew this, right? I already knew this. How did I know this? I knew this because I've been doing technical analysis on this, because I watch Underdog Research Channel. You get me? Yeah, and also because DYOR, because I do my own research, you know what I mean? So I guess DMOR. But yeah, so this is on the Plume mainnet, and these are the rankings of their assets, right? This is the assets ranking. Here we go. Anemoy, Tokenized, Apollo, ACRDX, right there. Number one, right at the top. Token price, $1.02. Asset group, private credit. Active market cap, 32.9 million. On-chain market cap, 32.9 million. Platform, Centrifuge. We're gonna get into that as well. Category, private credit, asset class, other credit. Okay. Access model, permissioned. There's like so much to go through here. Okay. But the important thing is that we caught it. We saw it here, right at the top on DefiLlama, right? ACRDX. This is what we've been looking at. ACRDX on DefiLlama again, right at the top. Token price $1.02. Does it match though? Does it match what we're seeing over here? Yes, it does. Targeted APY 2%. What is 2% of a dollar? 2% of a dollar is 2 cents. All right, back again. DefiLlama, token price $1.02. Does this make sense? Yes, it does. Maybe let's go into CoinGecko and let's see. Let's just confirm again. Anemoy tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund, ACRDX, price $1.02. Market cap 50 million though. But what were we reading here? 32.9 million. Where is the rest of the money? Where is the rest of the money? Where's the 17 million? Where's the rest of it? Don't worry, we will find it together. But something I also want you to pay attention to is this. Why are we getting this name now, right? At first, we were just looking at Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. All of a sudden, there's an Anemoy tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. Surely that cannot be a mistake. So let's find out who is Anemoy. This is Anemoy. Anemoy Yanis Henderson S&P 500 Index Fund, SPXA. Right? This is not currently what we're looking at, but I opened this page for a reason. Institutional equity on chain. The tokenized Anemoy Yanis Henderson S&P 500 fund delivers diversified US large cap exposure through a passively managed portfolio that corresponds to the performance of the S&P 500 index, built for institutional use with transparent, rules-based operations on chain. Okay. Why am I showing you something about the S&P 500 and not about ACRDX when I switch to Anemoy? Because you all know the S&P 500. Because we've all heard of the S&P 500, right? This company, Anemoy, right? They are a Web3 native asset manager powered by Centrifuge, providing investors with exposure to a broad spectrum of superior assets. But the fact that they have the S&P 500, at least a tokenized S&P 500, SPXA, right, gives me a lot more confidence that actually these people know exactly what they're doing. Because the S&P 500 is a pretty big fund. You're talking about a triple A fund here. So here's a little more about them. Built on Centrifuge protocol, Anemoy supports the entire life cycle of on-chain asset management. They provide institutions with end-to-end services across compliance, asset management, and seamless integration and management of real-world assets into DeFi. Their expertise spans the entire asset and fund management value chain, including origination, tokenization, securitization, management, and distribution. Where are we seeing this tokenization? We're going to find the tokenization on Centrifuge in just a sec. Securitization, management, and distribution. Where are we getting that? We're getting that on Plume. We're getting that on Plume. Again, this is why it's so important. Okay, I'm just going to switch real quick. This is why it's so important, okay, to not get confused or to not get dizzied by price, right? To not get dizzied by what you're seeing on the charts. Okay. When I see something like this, for me, it's very simple. It's very straightforward for me. I know where my support is. I know where my resistance is, right? I know, like, look, I'm gonna go long round about the support. This is a perfect place for me to accumulate a little more. If we get a little deeper, I'm gonna accumulate a little more too, you know. But I know where the previous week value is. I know where the week before that, I know where that value lies. I know where current value lies, right? Using technical analysis. I'm not using my technical analysis to decide whether an asset or whether a company or whether Plume, since we're talking about that specifically, is bullish or bearish. I know that sounds counterintuitive because, like, of course, like you're looking at a chart, you want to know whether it's, in drawdown or whether you're in profit, right? But using just the chart for you to determine whether a project is bullish or bearish is basically trying to understand a movie by watching the credits. These are the credits. I hope that makes sense. Like, these are the credits. This is your starring cast, produced by, directed by. This is your credits. Now, when we're at the technical analysis, the fundamental analysis, though, which a lot of people miss out on, right? This stuff that we're going into now, right? This is the movie. Okay, this is the subplot. This is the plot twist. Okay, this is the main character finds out that their spouse or their partner has been kidnapped and they have to go and rescue them, but they have 4 bullets left in the chamber. You get me? Like, it's different. It's a different way of looking at an asset or looking at your investment, right? So I really want to drive that. I really want to drive that point across, But let's get a little more into it. Where were we? We were looking at Anemoy. This is where we were, right? This is what they do. This is a Web3 native asset manager powered by Centrifuge. Okay. And again, like, I had to like find out a little more because I'm like, okay, cool. Look, I just found out about Anemoy. Now I'm hearing Centrifuge from the Anemoy website. Okay, cool. And this is what I found, right? When I was now making that little, when you draw those circles and you have the intersections, you know what I mean? Or if you have like on a whiteboard or on a board or whatever, and you have like strings attached to different pinpoints. This is exactly what I was doing. This is what I was doing for you guys. So this is on the Centrifuge website. Grove deploys $50 million to Anemoy Tokenized, Apollo Diversified Credit Fund, ACRDX, launched in partnership with Plume and Centrifuge. I mean, weren't we just here just now? Didn't I just like call this? Market cap $50,916,137. Yeah, and we're seeing it again, right? Oops. And we're seeing it again on the Centrifuge website. Grove deploys $50 million to Anemoy Tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund, ACRDX, launched in partnership with Plume and Centrifuge. All right, a lot to go through here. All right, a lot to read through. I mean, I could make an entire video just based off of this. Okay, but something that I thought was like really interesting. I laughed a little too much. I am ashamed to say this, but partnership. This is I'm reading from this paragraph over here, so you can read along with me if you'd like to. But partnering with Apollo to bring ACRDX to Plume is a natural evolution of our collaboration with both Plume and Grove to date, said Baji Illuminati, CEO of Centrifuge. I just wanted to read that out loud because this man's surname really is Illuminati. Centrifuge provides the infrastructure to tokenize and manage the fund. Plume offers the RWA optimized blockchain environment, and Grove serves as the capital highway needed to unlock access to diversified credit opportunities on chain. All right. Again, I'm saying like we can go a lot deeper into this, but if you are invested in Plume, then you understand exactly what it is that they're building. And if you don't understand exactly what it is that they're building, again, go to the Underdog Research channel and go and watch all of his videos. All right, don't skip one. Go and watch all of the videos, and then you'll get a deeper understanding of exactly what Plume is about and exactly why it's so important and why we've been doing fundamental analysis videos, market cap videos, technical analysis videos on this one project. We could have moved on and started doing something else, but there's something deeper here that that people are gonna miss, and I don't want you to be that person who misses out on that. You get me? But yeah, but let's get into it again. Let's get a little deeper. Okay. This is actually I think I'll read just from this last part over here. Yes, so the launch of ACRDX on Plume is a major milestone for on-chain capital markets and validates our mission to be the home of real-world asset finance, said Christian, CEO and co-founder of Plume. Bringing together Apollo, Centrifuge, and Grove on Plume underscores the strength of our ecosystem and the growing institutional demand for diversified credit markets on-chain. Growing institutional demand for diversified credit markets on-chain. Growing institutional demand for diversified credit markets on-chain. So it's not just a thing where it's not just a thing of someone thought it was just going to be a cool idea to tokenize, you know, to help asset managers tokenize their funds, right? There's a growing demand for it. And there's a growing demand for it, for these markets to be on-chain. That's important. That's important. I don't want you guys to be missing these things. Like, you have to, I know people will say like read between the lines or whatever. And I know it's a lot of reading and it's a lot of words, etc. But it is your money. At the end of the day, it's your money, it's your investment. So, I mean, like, you have to be a little proactive about it. You get me? Or if not, just subscribe to the channel and I'll keep you up to date. You feel me? But yeah, let's go on to the Centrifuge website now. I mean, because, off here, I mean, we are on the Centrifuge website, but we've heard a lot, right? We've read a lot. Launched a partnership with Plume and Centrifuge. We've done the Plume part. And now, let's look into Centrifuge, right? Let's see what's going on with Centrifuge, right? Here's the Anemoy tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund again. Its APY, though, is 8.18%. Total value locked is 43.4 million%. This is on Centrifuge. I'm going to find out. You know what I mean? I'm going to find out. Like, we need to find out. We need to see the money for ourselves. You know what I mean? So here we go. Anemoy tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. Total value locked 43.4 million, as I just called. Token price 1.018033. Does it match what we're seeing on CoinGecko? Somewhat, not that far off. APY 8.18%. This is the same fund. 2% over here on Plume, on Nest, right? And on Centrifuge, 8.18%. It's right here. Private credit, corporate credit, and asset-backed finance. APY 8.18%. Minimum investment $100,000. I'll read that again. Minimum investment $100,000. Do you have $100,000? No? Okay, cool. And then maybe come over here. Maybe come over to Nest. Okay? Maybe come over to Nest and work it out here with your good friends Plume. You get me? But again, let's look at it again. Like let's I'm always gonna RWA. I RWA everything. You know what I mean? Here we go. Anemoy tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. This is the same thing that we're looking at here, right? On Centrifuge. The fund is a regulated blockchain native investment vehicle that provides qualified investors with exposure to Apollo's diversified credit platform. Again, qualified investors with exposure to Apollo's diversified credit platform. Fund shares are issued as tokens on multiple blockchains, Plume, Ethereum, Base, and more, and are denominated in USDC. The fund invests in Apollo Diversified Credit Fund, offering access to a globally diversified credit strategy spanning asset-backed lending, corporate credit, and dislocated opportunities with real-time on-chain transparency via Centrifuge protocol. That's where we were. The fund bridges institutional-grade alternative credit with DeFi infrastructure for non-US professional investors. Again, non-US professional investors, which is why you're going to need to have $100,000. You're going to need to have $100,000 for this APY. Do you have $100,000? If you don't have $100,000, come on the Nest. I got you. Maybe I don't got you, but Plume got you. You get me? Again, not financial advice. I'm just reading it as I'm seeing it, right? I'm just reading it as I'm seeing it, as the information is being shown to me. Okay? Look at that. $50 million. There's our $50 million. Yeah. And that's the $50 million that we read on the Centrifuge homepage. $50 million to Anemoy Tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. Again, the $50 million that we're seeing over here on CoinGecko. All right, there's the money. Yeah, I mean, that's like pretty much it from like this end. You know, you could see it on Plume, the token supply is 32.3 million. Yeah. And on Ethereum, 378,000. I believe we did see that 32.3 million over here. It will be awkward if I don't find it because that's going to make me a pretty bad auditor. It's in one of these tabs, guys. My mind's working at 100,000 miles an hour, you know. But yeah, this is what we're looking at here. This is Anemoy Tokenized Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. Again, total asset value 33 million. I guess that's the 33 million that I had caught over here, right? That's the 30. This is the $50 million. Yeah, that's the $50 million that we saw on CoinGecko, and the $50 million that we read on about off Grove, right? I mean, off the Centrifuge website. Okay, but moving swiftly along. Okay, moving swiftly along, because I'm still on Plume, right? I'm like, okay, look, 2% sounds great. Okay, because usually, I mean, the bank will tell me if I keep my money in my savings, I'll make like 1.2%, which is not bad because I mean it's a little extra money, you know. And I guess 2% is 0.8% more, you know. It is 0.8% more than what I will be getting from my bank. So I mean that's not bad. And also for stable coins, which is just kind of like sitting there and that I'm not really using. I mean that's not a bad way to earn some yield, right? But I wanted to find out if there was anything more that I could do with it, right? So again, on Plume, I went onto the Plume portal. Cool. I see there's, you know, there's a gold vault over here. All right, cool. I'm not looking at that right now. Morpho, I'm not looking at that right now. I'm always reading about Morpho, you know, always looking at like, you know, how it's doing in relation to Plume, right? If you guys watch my technical analysis videos, which you should, you know. But yeah, but here we go. Nest Alpha Vault, flagship yield strategy. Safe, liquid yields with diversified institutional grade assets from AAA firms backed by robust liquidity. So I was like, backed by robust liquidity, find out a little more. I went, look at this, Vault APY 10.47%. The annualized yield, this is just how they calculate it, right? This is how it's calculated. The annualized yield based on how much the Vault share price changed over the last 30 days. 30-day rolling Vault APY, price today divided by price 30 days ago, minus 1 multiplied by 365 divided by 30, right? Current Vault, so P today, current Vault share price, that's the net asset value per share. P 30 days ago, that's Vault share price 30 days ago. All right, so that's how that's calculated. Total value locked 11 million. In comparison to what we're seeing over here, that's just 100K. This is 11 million. This is 100,000. And I mean, look at this. The APY is 10.47%. Right? So what is this alpha? Right? What is this alpha? What is this diversified index? Okay. So the vault takes stablecoin deposits and allocates them into a diversified portfolio of tokenized real-world assets, right, including payment financing and private credit. Is Apollo not private credit? Were we not just looking into private credit just now? In return, depositors receive N alpha, a vault token representing their share of the portfolio. Cash flows generated by the underlying assets are automatically reinvested into the vault, with returns reflected directly in the N alpha token price rather than distributed, providing passive exposure to income generating RWAs. All right. blah 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 blah. Strategy designed to, etc., etc., etc. If you want to read up more about it, go on to the Plume website. All right. But let's see. Like, these guys are saying this is a diversified index. All right. Underlying assets on chain. NOPOL, NFXCF, prime brokerage lending, payment financing, NLCRD, payment financing, NLCOA, ETF, NT bill, US Treasury bills, and would you have it, private credit, 1.3%. From this, what this is the Apollo Diversified Credit Fund within this vault, right? Within this alpha. So you don't have to come here and just get this, right? And invest in this and get your APY from this. I mean, you could, right? This could be an alternative. You could have a different portfolio where you just have your Apollo stuff where you're getting your 2%. Or you could have this alpha, right? You could have this alpha, which is a diversified index, right? And on it, you have all of these underlying assets, including the one that we were just like looking at, right? Which is the Apollo Diversified Credit Fund. And we know about this. We know how strong this is. How do we know this? Because we've just been reading up about it. We went onto the Apollo website. We went on to RWA and we checked out Apollo on there on the RWA.xyz. We went on to DefiLlama. We went on to CoinGecko. We went on to Anemoy. We know what Anemoy is about. We found out about Centrifuge also and its connection with Plume for this specific fund. You know what I mean? And here it is inside one vault. I'm just saying, if you're not subscribed right now, I don't know. If you're not subscribed right now, you're just a hater. I'll say it out loud. But here we go. Again, on RWA.xyz. Like, I'm not making this up. I wish I was making this up because then I'd be a genius. But this is what it is. Look, Nest Alpha offers a highly liquid yield strategy ideal to most users. It includes a diversified section of tokenized assets from AAA firms. If you don't know what a AAA firm is, you're sus. And asset managers, as well as yields from private credit and trade financing agreements from accredited protocol partners. Designed with liquidity in mind, the vault is bolstered by a dedicated liquidity buffer, supported by industry-leading yield, various stablecoin protocols, ensuring seamless access for retail users and liquidity providers alike. Total asset value, 9.8 million. Doesn't match what we're seeing over here. Over here, this is total value locked, 11 million. So 11 million locked. Yeah. Total asset value, 9.8 million. Holders, 70,000. Guys, there's only 70,000 people holding this. Net asset value, $1.10. $1.10 makes sense because what is their APY? All right. Total vault APY is 10.47%. That makes sense. $1.10. What's 10 cents? What's 10% of a dollar? It's 10 cents. So there you go. Holders 70,268. 7-day APY 9.37%, up 3.57% from 7 days ago. Again, like here you go. Like if you're just looking at the total value, this is how much Plume is in there. This is how much Plume is in there. You know what I mean? I mean, it also is available in Solana. For all my Solana people, you can go and check it out on there. But yeah, but market cap by network, Solana 3.7 million, $6.2 million on Plume. Platform, Nest, tokenization type, distributed, and everything that we have here. You know, net asset value, $1.10. Price, $9.57. All right, token supply, $8,952,816.88. Okay, right there. So what is the purpose of this video? I mean, like we've got here, and we've got to like the end of this, of everything that I wanted to show you, right? Regarding Plume and regarding an asset, and it's like regarding Plume, but it really is regarding a protocol, an app, a company that is building on Plume. Right, this is just Apollo. I just went onto Apollo, and this is how much. This video is what is probably in like 40 something minutes now. Right, almost going an hour, just looking at one asset that is on the Plume network. Yeah. And this is how much I could uncover. This is how much I could find, right? With about 72 hours worth of research, And this is me really trying to, really trying to refine my findings, and give you the tidbits as quickly as I possibly can, right? But even with me trying to do that, there's just like so much that it was gonna take me an hour, and there's so many other things that are connected to it, So what are we learning? Like, what have we found? What can we deduce from this? Why was this so important? Why was this video so long? Why did we take so long looking at Apollo? Why is it such a big deal that Apollo is building on Plume? Has been building on Plume. Why is it so important that there's a connection with Centrifuge? Like, why? Like, why is because real world assets are here today, right now, and there are people with access to uh deeper research, with access to more intelligent people, with access to uh, deeper funds, right? I mean, like these companies have this company specifically has access to people's retirement funds, and they also do corporate credit, right? They have lots of money. They have $800 billion in assets. $1 billion is 1,000 millions. They have 800,000 millions of dollars in assets that they manage, and they're building on Plume. That's pretty big, you know? That's pretty big. Why did they choose Plume? Why are they even choosing RWAs? You know? Like, what are they seeing that you're not? Whilst you're still focused on excuse me, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to roast you or make light of your situation or whatever, but whilst you're still focused on the price, whilst you're still focused on Plume is Plume is under 1 cent. Plume is sub 1 cent today. Whilst you're focused on this, right, there are companies that are building on it because they understand the value that Plume has. They understand the long-term future, right? They understand that what they do today is going to affect their business 5 to 10 years from now. You're worried about this. You're worried about the Plume price though. That's where you're at. You're just locked in with where price is at today, and where your portfolio is, and you're not really paying attention to what Plume is and what Plume is building and with whom Plume is building, So look, I don't know if I can give you guys more from that. I honestly, I genuinely don't know. I don't think I can, even if I try to. I've given you guys as much. I've given you guys everything that I could find. I showed you guys ACRDX. I showed you Apollo on Plume. I showed you Apollo on Nest as well under this diversified index. I also showed you Apollo on Centrifuge, but you do need to have $100,000 for you to be able to access this APY. All right. So, what is your alternative? I mean, I do believe 10.47% is a lot more than 8.18%. Maybe not a lot more, but it is 2% more. You know what I mean? So, I mean, these opportunities will come and these opportunities will pass, and at some point you're gonna tell your people, you're gonna tell your family that, like, oh no, I was invested. I used to have crypto, and I held Plume, and but you're not looking at the deeper picture. You're not looking at everybody who's invested and everyone who surrounds this project. You get me? So look, I'm gonna leave it at that. You let me know if this video was of value to you, if you found anything interesting. Again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. I'll be so happy to answer your questions, and also just to see your comments in the comment section. Again, it will just let me know that I did provide you with some value. you know. And yeah, and if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Also make sure that you hit that notification bell. That way the next time I do another one of these videos, you get it first. You get me? Yeah. But I'm gonna catch you guys. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, Thursday, 9:30 EST, as we trade the futures live. We'll be trading the ES live. It hasn't been that great of a week, but yeah, but we managed to bounce back and we're green for the day. So catch me trading tomorrow live, and yeah, we will be doing another technical analysis video on Friday, which will be followed by a market cap video on Monday, and we will be doing one of these types of videos in the middle of the week. But yeah, that's gonna be me. I will catch you guys tomorrow on stream. Make sure you do your own research. Don't invest more money than you're willing to lose. And as always, from one real world alpha to another, take care of yourself. Rinse some water. Peace.